This is Valley News Live at 5.
We are following some breaking national news today. Health departments have confirmed that a recent case of COVID-19 among an individual in California was caused by the Omicron variant, making that the first confirmed case of the variant here in this country. The individual was a traveler who returned from South Africa on November 22nd. This individual was fully vaccinated and had mild symptoms. All close contacts have been contacted and have tested negative. Meanwhile, North Dakota's health department held a briefing on the Omicron variant today. Disease Control and Forensic Pathology Chief Kirby Kruger says the variant is concerning. And while there's a lot to learn about the variant, this won't change current mitigation practices in the state.
The things that we have been doing all along to help prevent the spread of the COVID-19 virus, SARS-CoV-2, are still important today and still are going to help us to reduce the spread of Omicron if Omicron becomes present in our area.
Vaccine makers are still researching their effectiveness against this new variant. It took most of the day, but we finally reached the 50-degree mark, which may not have been a record setter, but who's complaining, right? Let's get the latest on where we're heading tonight. Our chief meteorologist, Hutch Johnson, is here with that. Hutch?
Mike, good evening. And boy, I tell you what a way to start meteorological winter. Temperatures, though, ranged all over the board. We had 30s in our area, including in Langdon, 40s in Grand Forks, 50s in Fargo, 60s out in Jamestown, and 70s, believe it or not, in southwest North Dakota. And that's how we start the season of winter. But don't fret if you're waiting for some ice or some snowflakes to ride your sleds on, because things are a-changing. We have a few sprinkles out there tonight. We see most of them in northwest Minnesota, a few starting to develop here in central North Dakota. So hit and miss sprinkles in your forecast tonight, as right now temperatures range from the 30s to now 50s in Oaks and in Jamestown. A pleasant night, cloudy skies. Can't rule out a sprinkle even here in the FM area as we go through the overnight hours. And then we have a shot of snow tomorrow to talk about, but the big system we're watching comes on Saturday and into Sunday. First alert weather days both days. Mike will have details on what you can expect as, well, things will get a little bit more wintry here in the season of winter over the next few days.
It is December after all.
It is.
All right, thanks. Authorities want you to stay off the ice. In West Fargo, they specifically are warning you about retention ponds and the Cheyenne River. The fire chief there says it can be deceiving when it comes to ice forming on bodies of water. It may look as though it's frozen solid, but there's no guarantee that the ice will be thick enough to withstand extra weight. North Dakota's Game and Fish Department recommends always checking the thickness of ice first. If ice is less than 4 inches thick, stay off altogether. Family members returned to the home south of Fargo today that was destroyed by fire late yesterday afternoon. Investigators have yet to release a cause. A man living in that home remains hospitalized with serious burns. A woman was able to safely escape. The house is a total loss. Fargo police released crime trends today for the past 30 days in downtown Fargo. Sergeant Brent Halverson saying that while they did have 32 citations and made 26 arrests in that time frame, their report shows good numbers. Sergeant Halverson says of those, 3 of the reports were for aggravated assault, 8 criminal mischief calls, 14 theft reports, and 4 burglaries. Police are quick to note that in the aggravated assault cases, police involved in each case knew each other, people involved in each case knew each other, and that there aren't random people running around downtown assaulting people. Halverson adds that his department took 2 robbery reports, which he says is very rare for that part of the city. Sergeant Halverson added that the person they have been dealing with the most in downtown Fargo is this man, Philip Deary. In the past 30 days, Deary has been involved in 16 incidents, most of them pertaining to harassing staff members and customers at the Jasper Hotel. Police also say that they've cleaned up what they're calling river camps along the river in downtown Fargo. After several complaints, 2 garbage trucks were called in and cleared away the shelters. Police are working with area shelters in hopes of placing everyone that was in these river camps. Police say that the camps became a safety concern after a 5-gallon bucket of used needles was found nearby. A day after killing spree inside a Michigan high school that left 4 teenagers dead and 7, including a teacher, wounded, their 15-year-old classmate has been arraigned on multiple charges, including first-degree murder, and terrorism. Jay Gray has a closer look at the new information in this case and how that community is dealing with its tragic loss.
As a memorial at Oxford High School grows, tragically, so does the number of victims from the attack. A 17-year-old unable to survive his wounds, now the fourth student to die 24 hours after 3 classmates were killed during the massacre. As families gather outside, reclaiming cars left behind in a panic to escape, we're learning a lot more about the 5 minutes of horror inside the school.
I mean, it's gut-wrenching.
Investigators say surveillance video shows the killing spree begins as 15-year-old Ethan Crumbley walks out of a bathroom, methodically moving through hallways, at times firing into classrooms and tugging on barricaded doors. Crumbley is being held in this juvenile facility, he and his parents at this point refusing to talk with police. Officers have pulled a cell phone, computer, photos, and what they call writings from the family's home, part of the evidence reviewed by prosecutors before announcing initial charges this afternoon.
1 count of terrorism causing death, 4 counts of first-degree murder, 7 counts of assault with intent to murder, and 12 counts of possession of a firearm and the commission of a felony.
While the charges are important for investigators and families, the focus right now is on how and why.
This was an evil act, and it appears to be random.
A random attack that is so personal for so many in this grieving community. Jay Gray, NBC News, Oxford, Michigan.
The high school is the only one in that town. Almost everyone knows those who were involved in that massacre. Today, big day in the U.S. Supreme Court, where the future of abortion rights hangs in the balance. Hundreds of protesters on both sides of the issue descending on the nation's capital as the 9 justices heard arguments in the case that could overturn Roe v. Wade. At the heart of the case, a Mississippi law that bans abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. 21 states have already passed laws banning all or almost all abortions if Roe v. Wade is overturned, while 16 states are working on legislation to protect access to abortion. The jury for the trial of a suburban Minneapolis police officer charged in Daunte Wright's shooting death took shape today, with 9 of the necessary 14 panelists seated. Among them, a woman who said she owns both a gun and a stun gun. Kim Potter is charged with first and second-degree manslaughter in the April 11th shooting of Wright following a traffic stop in the Minneapolis suburb of Brooklyn Center. Potter said she meant to use her taser on Wright after he pulled away from officers, but that she drew her handgun by mistake. Opening arguments are scheduled for next week. New at 5, those using medical marijuana in Minnesota will be allowed edibles. Starting next August, items like gummies and chews will be legal. Currently, the law allows for pills, vapor oil, liquids, topicals, powdered mixtures, and lozenges. Smokable cannabis was already approved and will begin in March. Policy debates are underway, and the status of the sage grouse hangs in the balance. It's a native bird in North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Wyoming, and several other states. The number of male grouse has dropped significantly in North Dakota, and due to the decline, hunting of the birds was discontinued in the mid-2000s. Last week, the federal government announced plans to set aside sage grouse habitat, which could affect habitat conservation restoration plans across 10 states. Minnesota is asking you to help name a snowplow. Actually, 8, one snowplow for each MnDOT district in the state. The agency is looking for the most witty, unique, even punny snowplow name ideas. There's a submission form on MnDOT's website and other social media platforms. You have until December 15th to send in your entries. Each person may submit up to 3 names. This contest is intended to be fun, lighthearted, and family-friendly, not political. What kind of lawnmower do you use? Later on Valley News Live at 5, why you might be choosing to go electric in the not-too-distant future.
But in weather, we'll talk about why you may need to put that thing away and get out the snowblower. First Alert Weather Day is for some wintry weather heading our way for the weekend. Details right after this.